I'm not writing a reggaeton for Therion, for example. That wouldn't work. Or maybe it would, I don't know.
Basically, at the end of last year, we did a bunch of interviews that, because then I got sick, we were not able to upload. We were not keeping up with the demands of the site and the channel. So starting today, we're going to be uploading them. Obviously, it sucks that all of this stuff got pushed back, but really there wasn't an option to do it any differently. So today is the interview with Thomas Vikström. He is the singer of Therion and just a really fun guy. I hope you'll enjoy it. Considering, of course, that you come from musical family. Your father was Sven-Erik Vikström, who was an opera singer in Sweden. I was wondering, first, is he the reason why you ended up pursuing music as a career?
Probably, in hindsight, yeah. I didn't understood that when I was a kid, but now it's clear to me. I was born into music, more or less. I was hanging with him in the opera, and I was sleeping in his dressing room while he was performing. So I couldn't avoid it. But I wanted to go against my parents and be independent. So I discovered Kiss at a very early age. I saw them on pictures. They were my idols before I ever heard them. So I saw this picture. This is what I want to do. This is it. And I hope my parents would hate it, but they were like, oh, they are cool. He was not like this up-nosed opera guy, and not at all. He was very, very light-headed, light-going, easygoing. But so that was it. But later on, I understood that I liked what he was doing as well.
And tell me, how do you go from Kiss to, well, you first were in Talk of the Town, but then you went to Candlemass, which was already a pretty big band at the time when you joined. How did you make that connection?
I was friends of them. All the musicians are in Stockholm. They kind of know each other more or less, because we hang out in the same clubs, and I known Mappe for a long time, the guitar player. And I was contacted by them, and they told me that Messiah is gone and we are recording a new album. Can you come down to sing a couple of demos? Sure, So I went down to the studio and I started to record. I remember the songs. We did a song called Julie Laughs No More, and we did Ebony Throne and Julie Laughs No More. What I thought was demos, those takes are the actual demo takes that are on the album, yeah. So all of a sudden I was just in. I was actually never asked, do you want to be the singer of Candlemass? It was just happening, and I thought it was kind of cool, because they were in a pretty delicate situation as well. I still don't know up to now whether they kicked Messiah out or if he went himself. I don't know. And I didn't really wanted to ask,
And eventually you become part of Therion, but it is so different from what you were doing already as a metal musician, in the sense that now it starts to seem more like closer to an opera, closer to this kind of larger-than-life, bombastic music. How was that change for you?
It was kind of something that I've been looking for all the time, but didn't know existed, to tell you the truth. I got a phone call, and this was 2007. I got a phone call from a guy called Christopher Johansson in my home. And he presented himself, and he said that I'm playing with a band called Therion, and my friend Mats Levin was in the band by that time, and he left the band. And Christopher asked me, we have a world tour that we are going to do. Are you interested? And I told him that, yeah, that sounds great, but I got to hear the band first, because I never listened to them, never heard them. So the next day I had the full catalog in the post, and I remember the first record I put on was just random, was Gothic Kabbalah. I think I listened to half a song or something before I called him up. I'm in, this is exactly what I want to do. But I didn't know it existed, a band like like this, that did everything from opera to rock to metal, wide spectrum, I love it. It's of course hard to step into somebody else's shoes, that's never easy, no matter how good you do it, it's never easy. And Mats and me are friends, so he's on the new album making some guest vocals as well.
Do you feel that being part of a project like this, as opposed to a more straightforward metal project, has shaped in a way your development as a singer?
Maybe not so much as a singer. I can do in Therion, it's fun because I can make a lot of different kind of styles with the voice, depending on what song it is. Some is pure classical singing, and some are pure, like power metal singing or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, and I think especially as a songwriter, because I remember the first song I wrote for Therion was the song Citra Ara. In that time, I didn't have my own studio, so I had to record it on the phone, so I should remember it. I was going to the supermarket, actually, and I had this idea in my head, and I have to record it so I don't forget it. So then I rented a couple of hours in the studio at the friend's studio and recorded that song and sent it to Christopher, and he liked it very much. And since then, we have been, working together with writing music. I mean, Christopher he created the band, so he is the one who has the last saying, and I think it should be like that. But now with the 3 latest albums, we have been working very close together, even if we have not been sitting beside each other because of pandemic. So yeah, 9 to 5. We developed a very strong team.
I've spoken a number of times with Christopher, and one of the things he does acknowledge to an extent is that he does like to exercise quite a bit of control over Therion in part of this, because obviously, as you said, is the band that he started. Sure. He's the only one who
it's
has
his
been
baby,
there.
Yeah.
Precisely, right? It's his baby. So is that a challenge in a way that perhaps you sometimes like making that work, in the sense that you have somebody who is going to be so protective of the work, which is completely understandable. I am not trying to say that as a criticism, but that at the same time, you as a musician and as a singer, you also want to perhaps try things that maybe somebody with that level of control might not necessarily approve of.
If you had asked me these questions when I was 25, I would totally agree with you. But the best thing with getting older is that you don't care so much, It's okay. It's okay. I don't have to be right all the time, even if I am. but no, I don't have a problem with that at all. I mean, I'm in this band and I'm touring the world and making records with them. It would be like, to quote Paul Stanley, it would be like or winning $1 million in the lottery and complaining about the taxes, It's no, absolutely not. There's a few times I've been sending him songs that I thought was great. And, Christopher is very straightforward and very pragmatic. So the only thing he writes to me in the phone, no, it sucks, Yeah, he's like that. And, some people have a hard time taking that, but I don't, We have a great relationship. And, and when we work together, it's like magic. It's like a factory almost, But and we are very different. We have different personalities. He's very, as I said, pragmatic, and everything in order, and I'm the total opposite, joker. But I mean, we feed from each other. I need some of his sides, and he absolutely needs some of mine, And when we get together and work, it works flawless, I have to say.
This switch towards a much more distance-based songwriting, has that been a difficult process?
I'm pretty used to work alone because I'm doing a lot of pure work for other artists, backing vocal stuff and stuff. I'm pretty used to work alone. I kind of like my own company, so to speak. Not that I'm a social or something like that. I'm a very social person, but I like to be alone sometimes and work, So no, for me, it hasn't been any problem at all. And with today's technology, it works. Of course, when you record in studio, when you really record the album, the ultimate thing is to be together. We couldn't, because we couldn't travel this latest album, Because when you record an album, you sometimes have ideas that comes in the fly, you know, and you can ask, do you want to try this out, or should I go higher or lower here, or blah, blah, blah. You cannot have that direct conversation anymore. And that's a downside. But the upside is that I don't have to ask for permission to sing the way I want to do it, you know, in special places, you know.
How was the experience for you of coming up with Leviathan?
The instruction I had for it, you know, is pretty funny, because when we started to work on this when exactly on the day when the lockdown was, more or less, you know. And so the thing we could do was basically write songs all days, you know. And I remember I was asking Christopher, in what direction do you want to go with this, you know? And he said, it has to be good. Okay. You know. So, which results in, of course, very diverse songs, you know. But you know, and we started to write, and the idea was just one album, you know. And all of a sudden we had a pile of songs, you know, in different styles. So Christopher came up with the idea, let's not make one album, let's make them three. Leviathan 1, Leviathan 2, Leviathan 3. And I thought, yeah, why not? And then we can put the hit songs, this is how I remember it, the hit songs in the first of the albums. When I say hits, I mean commercially in Therion sense. And the second one, we put the songs with a little darker atmosphere. And on this third one, let's go bananas and be experimental and progressive and whatever you want. And I think we accomplished that pretty well, you know. And I mean, like Christopher said, want to give the audience what they want. That's very hard, because the Therion fans are very diverse, you know. They want different things, and you can't please them all. I just try to make as good songs as I possibly can, you know, and hope that other people has the same taste as me, you know. The fun thing to write with Therion, though, is that there are no rules and no boundaries for what you can do or take inspiration from and whatever. If I want to do, hey, I want to do a polka now, but I want to put distorted guitars on it, and that's okay. Then if it ends up on the album or not, I don't know. But there are absolutely no rules for and we do what we feel like. And I learned a lot from Christopher there, because I remember when we were about to record the French album that we did, we were on tour, and you know, we had been playing somewhere, and we were in the bus, sitting and drinking beer, talking, and Christopher was hanging over his TV game, you know, his on his laptop, and all of a sudden he looks up and look at me, and we are going to do a French cover album with French chansons. And I was like, what are you saying, you know? I thought it was a gas leak in the bus or something, so he started to hallucinate, you know. No, I'm serious. And I said to him, do you realize that that might be a commercial suicide, Christopher? And he said, I don't care, because I want to do this. And that lightened something in me. Yeah, but that's the way to go. That's how you should think. That's correct. So we did that. And I liked that album.
I actually liked it a lot. I really enjoyed it. But
Yeah.
I was surprised in the sense that the music certainly is Therion-like, but I was surprised by the topic itself, in the sense that I would not have expected that to be a source material for Therion music.
No, I was as surprised as you, probably. I was like, okay, and I was thinking about it. You know, I'm trying to start to like that. Maybe it's a cool idea. Nobody does that. You know what? In hindsight, I like it very much, even though I struggled a lot in the studio to sing that, you know, because it's a language I don't understand, you know, and there are sounds that I don't have in Swedish, or we don't have it in Spanish or in English, you know. You have to sing with your nose, like the parapluie, you know. And, you know, I remember I was struggling in the studio. Now I got the pronunciation right, but I sang the little wrong melodies. I had to take it again, you know, and again and again and again.
I feel that when you speak about it, like I like it, there is almost a kind of perhaps I'm wrong, but there is also almost a defensiveness to the way you describe it. Has the reception for that album been negative?
In the beginning, yeah, what are they doing? But not now. Not now. People are, I think that's an album that had to grow. And Mon Amour, Mon Ami, that is on that album, is one of the top 5 streamed songs in Spotify with Therion.
You mentioned that when you discuss Le Fleurs du Mal with Christopher, you mentioned, this might be commercial suicide. What is the weight that commercial considerations take when you are writing music?
I wouldn't say after that album, nothing. No, but I don't necessarily see commercial as a bad thing, because as soon as a thing sells, it's commercial in a way, It's like when Metallica did the Black Album, all of a sudden people say they are commercial. They wouldn't have said that if that album would have been a flop, or a mediocre selling stuff, So I don't know. Commercial it's a big word. But like I said to you before, when I write songs now, when it's for Therion, I don't necessarily think, is this gonna sell? Is this gonna? No. I just write what I like myself, what I want to hear.
But I guess that within as eclectic as Therion is, there is still a certain, for lack of a better word, brand identity that you do try to stick to when you're writing.
Of course, you want it to sound Therion. Of course, I'm not writing a reggaeton for Therion, for example. That wouldn't work, or maybe it would. I don't know, but no. But of course, in the boundaries of what can be Therion, but those boundaries are very soft and stretchable. I think a lot has to do with Christopher and his way of creating and putting his touch in the music. I'm trying to feed from that to unlock that secret, But a lot of his ideas, and a lot of how he plays and how he writes melodies, it has something to it, And I remember one song that we have, this Ruler of Tamag, the last single we did before this one. I wrote that. That's the only song that were written before, because I wrote that song and I was thinking about sending it to Tarja Turne, but I was thinking I will send it to Christopher first and see what he says, So I did, and say I love the song, but we have to Therionize it. Okay, you go ahead and Therionize it, and so he did, So when he puts his spices in the casserole, things happens,
What is in the future for Therion?
Not a clue. Apart from the whole year now that it's coming, 24, it's for touring, And after this tour, probably we'll get together and make another album. But what that's gonna be, I don't know yet. Well, I have some couple of ideas back in the head, and probably Christopher as well. But as I said, no, there's no time plan for it or anything like that. But
I noticed that you have a Therion tattoo on your right arm, and you have been a session musician with a number of bands. So, to put the Therion logo in your arm, I know that you're an official member of Therion, but when did you feel, okay, this is home now?
Yeah, exactly. The good word. That's exactly what I feel, because I have never been in a band that long, never been faithful to a band that long. And I have been now since 2007, and I almost immediately felt that this is where I want to be, Then I can still do other projects, which I do, but this is home. This is the other ones are girlfriends. This is my wife.
Good. I mean, there are many wives who would oppose that arrangement, but I'm glad to see that
Not
it works.
This wife. She's very open-minded.
Excellent. Thomas, it has been such a pleasure to meet you, and I look forward to seeing you live on tour very soon, man.
Very cool. Cool.